Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on into Trailblazer Game Day with the Fan Sports Network crew. Caden Formaster here, Paul Ratliff joining you right now from the Findlay Hyundai studio, going to be sending it out to Greater Zion Stadium and Rod Zundel in about half an hour's time from right now as we're getting ready to kick off the game between Tarleton State and Utah Tech University. Back at home in Greater Zion Stadium, and the month of October, we're talking lots of home games here, which is going to be a lot of fun. But, Paulie, how are we feeling about the matchup coming up tonight?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a big game, Caden. Probably the biggest opponent we're going to welcome into Greater Zion Stadium this season, being that they are the number 3 team in the FCS, the Tarleton State Texans. 6-0, averaging 48.5 points per game offensively. Number 4 in the FCS in scoring with that mark. So I think the Trailblazers trying to play the role of giant killer tonight, trying to take down one of the best teams in the country. So I'm really excited to see how they stack up in this matchup.
I'm excited as well. I mean, you're looking at the number 3 team overall in FCS right now. They're in the UAC. They're, of course, number 1, but they have the number 1 offense and the number 1 defense. Very well-rounded team that we're expecting to see here tonight. And, of course, the return of guys like Victor Gabalis, who's going to be at the helm for the Texans. And we're going to be hearing from him a little bit later on with Rod Zundel. He's got that interview for us, as well as Bryce Parker, who's going to be on the interview as well. So some former Trailblazers that we're going to be catching up with in the next part of the pregame show. But before we get into that, let's take a look back a little bit, Paulie, to last week. Central Arkansas, it was a good game.
Yeah. Where
I think the Trailblazers run into the same old story that they have, which is struggling to close it out. They really did just struggle to close it out. Bronson Barban's back at quarterback. He's healthy again, so it's nice to see him out there. He made some big plays, but again, the offense struggled to move the ball in the fourth quarter. The defense struggled to make some stops at some crucial moments, but it still ended up being a very close game and a tight UAC matchup.
That's right, and a road game at that. And the Trailblazers, again, scored the first touchdown, the Eric Olson 39-yard score, where he hit Bronson Barban, hit him in stride. It was a great-looking pass play. The passing offense had their best day of the season with over almost 250 yards passing through the air. So, I mean, it was a prolific passing day for the Trailblazers. Run game didn't really get there as much last week against the Bears. They really were prepared for what was coming, it seemed like. But this week, I think they'll look to make some adjustments. But last week, it's in the past at this point, 23-17 loss. Another tight game like most of the games have been this season, but now we shift our focus to this week.
We do. Yeah, we got to shift the focus, and that's exactly what we do. I want to point out one thing from last week that I find really interesting, and it's, again, that defensive line. The defense is finding ways to get to the quarterback. They gave up 3 sacks on Austin Myers, which is, again, it's impressive. So that defense is continuing to be a very big bright spot for the Trailblazers, and I would love to see how they're going to do this week against the Texans, considering that, again, this is a number 1 offense. But to Utah Tech's credit, they're one of the better defenses in the UAC right now. So hopefully they can try to slow that down. I mean, especially with the Texans averaging, 48 plus points a game.
Yeah, that's right. 48.5 points a game. The Texans are on their longest winning streak in school history at 7 games. So they are doing a lot of things right down there right now. And like I said, Utah Tech trying to play the role of the giant killer, chopping down the big tree. Like, this is a tough test, and I think they're going to be up for it. I think they're going to be ready for it. It's just, can they execute? Can they finish? Can they be in the game in the fourth quarter and make the big plays to win the game? That's going to be the difference. And I know they're going to be big underdogs in this game, but I've got a feeling they've got a puncher's chance tonight, I should say.
Now, last year, you and I called a game against Central Arkansas, and this was a game where, again, it was for Utah Tech. It was the one game on the calendar that everyone looked at and said that one's the one that they are most likely to lose. Least likely to win. Biggest underdogs, whatever you want to call it. And that was the game they won. Of the entire schedule, they won one game, and it was the game that they were the largest underdogs in. Now, I'm not saying that they can, lightning striking twice is very difficult.
Correct.
But when you put it into that mindset and that perspective of hey, it's okay, you can take down the big dogs, it makes this game feel a little bit different, especially when you look at the fact that Utah Tech has played against now 5 ranked opponents. This is coming up as the 5th ranked opponent. And every single ranked opponent they've played against outside of maybe Austin Peay has been a relatively close game. UC Davis was a great game. Northern Arizona was a fantastic game. And even the game against Idaho, yeah, it was a 20-6 game, but it was a game where they held Idaho to where it felt like it was anybody's game going into the fourth quarter even. Fourth quarter, they expounded on that lead just a little bit more and finished with the 26 score. The final score, I don't think, tells the story of that game. So what does that say coming into this one against Tarleton State? To me, it says, I think this Utah Tech team can compete with just about everybody. They've just really struggled at closing out games and getting wins. The one win on the season so far doesn't constitute how good this team actually is this year. They've come a long way.
There's only been one game as far as in the fourth quarter. The Austin Peay, they were kind of out of that game, 42-10. You know, they got away from them a little bit. But every other game this season, Utah Tech has had a chance to be in the game in the fourth quarter, whether it be one possession or 2 scores. They've been in every game other than the Austin Peay game. So it's a much more competitive team and a lot of fight. And I think that they will bring that to Greater Zion this weekend.
Now, that is kind of the big question is, can they finish off games? And the test is really today. I think there's going to be some things that we need to look at, some keys to the game. And I think to get into that just a little bit here, one of the biggest keys for me is win the turnover battle, right? You know, don't give up interceptions, don't fumble the ball. But if you can take away a couple, I'm not asking for a lot, but if you can take away a few, and especially if you can do it early on in a drive to where you can set up your offense with a short field, that could be the game changer right there. You know, something as simple as that, as simple as just getting some turnovers. Never going to be easy, but if you can do that, then that could be a huge key to this game.
Okay, I'd go for my key. I agree with that one. That's a great idea and key. And I think another one would be the time of possession battle. You know, as far as like not limiting Tarleton's time with the football, because they are such an explosive offense. They can score on any play at any time. Utah Tech, they're going to want to just hold the ball. They're going to go on long, sustained drives. That means using Chris Street and Bretton Stone and using Asa Chapman and Reggie Graff in the run game and trying to build with that throughout the game and build the play action passing game for later in the game, kind of set it up a bit with the run. So I think they got to commit to it. They got to stick to it as well. And I think it will bear fruit if they do.
I think so as well. All right, let's get to a break coming up. We've got Devin Dixon catching up with one of our Trailblazers. We got RJ Jones coming up in just a little bit. So after that, we do have Coordinator's Corner. So stick around for that. And we'll be sending things out to Rod Zundel at Greater Zion Stadium. So there's so much to get to here in today's Trailblazer game day before we get on into Greater Zion Stadium. Game time coming up here at 6 o'clock, and we are just over 50 minutes away from kickoff. We'll be back with more right after this.
RJ Jones with me here on the Fan Sports Network, and RJ hanging out with me, getting ready for a home game. Finally back at home this Saturday against the number 3 team in the country. We'll get to Tarleton State in a minute, but RJ, great performance for you individually last week. I know you wanted the dub, but talk about 6 tackles and a sack last week out there on the road at Central Arkansas.
Credit goes to my coach, Coach Moynihan and Coach Cross. They put me in a position to succeed. I feel like tackling was one of my strong points in my game, and running backs come and you got to bring them down eventually. So someone has to do it, and I got there 6 times. And then the sack is just a good call by the coach. Got home pretty easy. Make sure you get the quarterback down. So, yeah.
Tough loss. How did you guys handle it? What was the resolve like in practice after losing that game by a touchdown?
Yeah, so as a defense, I feel like we played pretty well. Sometimes we give up some big plays, and there's plays that we can always, even in a good performance, plays that we got to learn from, fix our mistakes, and we could have held them under 23 points in my opinion. So we have to do our end, our job as well as the offense has to do their job. But yeah, I think as a team, that loss hurt definitely, but we bounced back. We had a great Tuesday practice yesterday morning, and I think the guys are fired up to play this team.
RJ, tell everybody your story. UCLA transfer. You're from Pasadena, redshirt sophomore. Tell everybody how you ended up here in St. George, Utah.
Yeah, so UCLA didn't go as I expected. I was looking for an opportunity. I entered the transfer portal this past December, and first coach that called me was Coach Moynihan, and they offered me a scholarship here. I came on a visit, and at the time there was no DB coach, so I was just seeing what I could do, making new friends, making new teammates and stuff, and I ended up here. Never what I thought I would end up in Utah, but that's how life goes in the college football world now, and now I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be a part of this team.
Pasadena, that's the hometown school of UCLA. You just wanted more minutes, it sounds like. You just wanted an opportunity to get out on the field sooner?
Yeah, at the end of the day, the biggest thing for me was just playing football. I know Pasadena and the Rose Bowl and UCLA is all right at home for me, but at the end of the day, football is my dream, and by any means to get on the field and have an opportunity to play the game, that's what I was doing, and that's why I came here, and they gave me an opportunity, and I'm just going to take it and run with it.
Talk a little bit about your family. Shout outs, mom, dad, football family. You got siblings that play sports?
Oh, yeah. My little brother, he just stopped playing. He was at Sierra Canyon High School these past 2 years. He's been playing football since I've been playing football. So got an older sister, shout out Drew. And then my mom, she's a great woman, TV producer. Dad's a high school football coach in Pasadena for the local high school. Actually a reigning state champion or a city champion for
Nice.
Division 13 in Pasadena. So I'm just glad that, I got a football family and they support me wherever.
What was it like playing for dad? You play for dad?
In Pop Warner, I play for dad. We butt heads a lot. Just because you're at home with him and it's football, and then you go to practice and it's even more football. And at the end of the day, he taught me everything I know, and I can only give him all the thanks for it.
You still got time for a call for dad before games or midweek just to check in on things?
Yeah, my daily pregame is I do a lap around the field and I'm on the phone with my mom and dad. Just with my headphones. People think I'm listening to music, but I'm really on the phone having a conversation, just talking about life. Most of the time he had a game the night before, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about other college football games going around the world, just to stay leveled and stay calm, and just calm before the storm.
Talk a little bit about this next opponent. I mean, this is a big one. You saw SUU put up some points on them last week on the road. You get them here at home. Talk about the number 3 team, Tarleton State, the preseason favorite to win the UAC conference. Yeah,
Tarleton, they're great coach, great offense. I don't know too much about the defense, but I just know they have dynamic players all around the field. Receivers are good, quarterback is good, running back is good, O-line is good, tight ends are good. So I think we got to come with our best. I think that we have the right game plan to go in there and challenge these guys, and I think that we can hold them to our standard and that we can come out victorious as well.
RJ Jones hanging out with me. Thanks for the time. Go get them. Good luck against the Texans.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That was RJ Jones with Utah Tech, and he was one of the big performers last week as well.
Absolutely. And against the Bears, had a big sack for the Trailblazers and played really well all game long. So it's really cool hearing from him. That was an awesome interview Devin did.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're not done yet. We got more interviews coming your way. Coming up next, we've got Coordinator's Corner with myself and Special Teams Coordinator, Coach Kyan Brumfield. So that's coming up after the break. Stick around here on Trailblazer Game Day. Inside the Coordinator's Corner today with Special Teams Coordinator for Utah Tech University, Coach Kyan Brumfield. Coach,
so glad to be
how
here.
You doing, man?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Doing well, doing well. It's good to have you back here in the studio and to talk some Utah Tech football. And I'm sure for you, it's nice to sleep in your own bed this weekend.
Oh yeah. We had some faraway games.
Yeah, you guys been on the road, Central Arkansas. You were in Tennessee for Austin Peay.
Yeah.
But it's nice to be back home and again taking on another ranked opponent. I mean, you guys have been fighting against the top 25 all season long. How's that been for you guys to continually be playing against some of these really good teams?
I mean, in my opinion, it's great to see where we match up and see where we are. And honestly, most of the games have been competitive. Obviously, we had that one game, but it's been good to compete against great competition, and then also be able to tell recruits, hey, like if you come play here, like you're going to compete against honestly the best of the best at the FCS level. So I think it's been great.
And it has been, I mean, conference or non-conference. I mean, it's both been really good football, and you guys have that coming up here against Tarleton State with the number 3 team. And I know for some people that might seem intimidating, but how do you guys feel about it? Is it just another game?
Honestly, every next game is the next game on the schedule. They're a very good team, and we're really excited to play them. Definitely, they look good on film. They look athletic, like they play hard, and honestly, like having played and grew up in Texas, I love to see it. So a bunch of Texas dudes on their team, so I'm really excited to play them. It'll be fun.
So one of the big storylines, I know you're on special teams, but the big storyline here of this game is Victor Cabales, who used to play here at Utah Tech, starting quarterback for Tarleton State, and he's coming back into town. Is there been any chatter in the locker room about seeing familiar faces coming back into town again?
Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure if this coaching staff was here. I'm pretty sure they weren't.
It was the other coaching staff when he was here,
Yeah, so I know I asked, I think, because I saw somewhere that he played at Utah Tech, and I'm like, this guy played at Utah Tech? Pretty good player. And then I asked Ilya. Ilya said he knew him, so he said he's a good guy. So no real chatter. I know obviously some of the older players knew him, but I don't think too many people know him. But from what I hear, he's a good guy. So
yeah,
should be a good one.
The few interactions I had with him, he was always a good dude. But and he's been playing good ball, obviously.
Oh yeah, he's been a beast. And then I know, like, having played in college ball and transferring, like whenever you get to see that old friend, I know it's like it's all love whenever you see him. So
yeah, it's love until you're on the field, right? Until the clock's running, and then you got to leave it all out on the field for 100%. Sure.
And I hope our players are talking a little bit of trash, but not
as
too
they
much.
should. Yeah, as they should. That's how we do things, right? It's okay to have a friendly rivalry every so often, right?
Exactly.
And considering he is one of the top QBs in the UAC right now, as well as one of the top teams, I'm sure, especially on the defensive side, they're going to be coming out. But tell me a little bit about special teams and some of the things that you guys have cooking right now. I mean, obviously, when it comes down to it, one of the things you guys are trying to do is just, hey, let's keep the offense and the defense on the field as long as possible, so that you guys don't have to put in as much work. I know that's obviously, one of the things is let's just get the offense out there and let them go score some points for us. But tell me a little bit about some of the guys that you've got and some of the bright spots you've seen in special teams.
Yeah, so we have some really good players, and like what you said, I know, on third down you'll call punt alert, and we have this, this thing going with me and a couple of the people on the punt shield and everything. Like every time we get a first down, they're just yelling, "I hate punt," because obviously being special teams, you love to see your players out there and everything, your phase of the ball out there, but you never want to punt the ball. So that's funny, but honestly, we have some good players coming along. I know Amari Sanders has shown us a lot. Dejon Harrison, Josh Rillos, Jaquil Mitchell has continued to get better. On top of that, I think Shamar is going to be really, really impressive going forward. He's been practicing hard, and honestly, he looks good.
Yeah, and it's always nice to have those guys, especially the guys that are out there returning the ball, right? To see guys like Shamar who are just athletes, right?
Exactly.
Because he's getting it done on offense, on special teams. Is it nice to have guys like that you can just consistently rely on when it comes down to the return teams?
Yeah, and that's one thing that I try to tell the players the most, especially the specialists. Like, consistency is the most important thing in this game. Like, if you're someone that's up and down and we're just putting someone in, like, that's really hard because you don't know what you're going to get. I know I saw a study a while back that said, like, most people would love to have, or prefer having a consistent boss who's like a little bit of an a-hole, as opposed to you come into work every day and you don't know what you're going to get. So I say the same thing with the players. Like, if I know what I'm getting out of you, I can trust you more, as opposed to if you're up and down. So with Shamar and honestly with our specialists, like, them being consistent has been great. And I hope it, continues going forward.
Now, one thing with special teams, there's kind of this delicate balance between size and speed, especially with the guys that, everyone outside of the specialists, right? Because you need guys that can block, but you need guys that can, of course, move and block at the same time. Tell me about this team right now that you have with the Trailblazers. Do you feel like you are a little more lopsided in maybe, we have some good guys with size, but maybe they're not there on the speed? Do you feel like you have speed, or do you feel like you have a pretty healthy mix?
I would honestly say I think we have a pretty healthy mix. Very similar to most teams I've been on. Like, you have your bigger guys that obviously tend to be a little slower. You have your small, shiftier guys, and it's really, fun to see them all in the field at one time. And that's really, all the special teams units. Like, for example, you have your shield guys who are bigger, typically D line, sometimes O line, tight end bodies. And then you have your receiver DBs out wide. So it's been a good, I think, healthy mix. Definitely a wide range of bodies, though, out there.
For sure. Final game before you guys go into a bye week this next week.
Yeah.
So how important is it for you guys to finish here with a high note before you head into a break?
Oh, it's so important. I know whenever you go into bye week, that's the last game you have for 14 days, as opposed to whenever you wake up on Monday, you're like, okay, now we play SU. But guess what? We don't play SU for 13 days. So whenever, you have that game before the bye week, it's a little more just because that's the game you're thinking about for a little longer. Other than that, not too much, at least going into the game.
Now, I know it's always, the next game up is the one that's top of mind. But again, you do have SU coming up after the bye week, and it's homecoming, right?
Yeah.
So you got the next 3 weeks where you guys don't have to travel on the road, and you can get a lot of preparations done before this rivalry homecoming game.
Yeah.
So how nice is it for you as a coaching staff, as well as for the players, to, again, just sleep in your own beds and be able to get up and practice on your own field? You're not doing walkthroughs in Arkansas. You're doing them here in St. George, Utah, right? How important is it for you guys to be able to just be home for the next few weeks?
Oh, it's amazing. And I've been looking forward to it. I've been seeing on the schedule all 3 home games in the bye week. It's lovely just because, traveling, you have that long plane ride and everything. It's not really a hindrance just because, every team does it. So it's same thing for everybody, but it's obviously, better to be at home in front of your home crowd and see your friends and your family every day. But being away, it's usually like 36-hour trips. So it hasn't been too hard, but obviously, love to be home.
For sure. All right, Coach Kyan Brumfield with me here, Special Teams Coordinator. Appreciate you joining us. And Trailblazers are kicking off against Tarleton State this Saturday, 6 o'clock. Let's get ready for it. Back Raiders Iron. That was the Coordinator's Corner. Always good to catch up with our coaches, and in that case, Special Teams Coordinator Coach Kyan Brumfield. I have to ask him every single time. I have to ask him how Dad's doing. His dad's the Special Teams Coordinator out at Syracuse, and so he's out there playing some big boy FBS football, and so it's nice to talk about talk to him about his dad and see how things are going out there. Which he learns a lot, I think, from his dad that he can take and put into being a special teams coordinator here at Utah Tech, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can lean on someone as experienced and as good at what he does as his dad, then I would do the same, right?
Yeah, absolutely, right. Anytime you have those kind of mentors in your life, it's very, very helpful. So good to catch up with him. All right, well, we are approaching about a half hour away, a little over that, from getting to kickoff at Greater Zion Stadium. We're going to be sending it out to Rod Zundel in just a moment. He's out at Greater Zion Stadium, where he is going to get us ready to get closer to kickoff and get us some more pregame coverage. But before we do that, Paulie, let's just kind of go into some of our final thoughts on this game. Tarleton State here in town against Utah Tech.
Yeah, this is crazy to think about, but both these schools back in 2020 began transitions to being an FCS program, D1 AA program. So it's crazy to look at these two schools where they are now and that they're matching up together tonight. This wouldn't have been a thing years ago. And both these schools just progressed into the FCS football, and they both have a chance to make a big mark tonight. Utah Tech, obviously, to pull that stunning upset over the number 3 team in the country at home in front of your home crowd, and Tarleton to build on their school record 7-game winning streak to continue that to 8. So both teams, a lot on the line, and I just can't wait to get ready for game time now, Caden.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it is interesting when you say that this is a team that, both these teams came into at the time as the WAC, now UAC, and I suppose for every other sport, they're still in the WAC. But they come in at the exact same time. Now, Utah Tech has got the best of Tarleton State a couple times in their many matchups. Tarleton State's gotten the best of Utah Tech as well. So this is going to be a fun matchup. These two teams know each other pretty well at this point, and that just makes things a little more exciting. Now, again, this is a team where Tarleton State's leading the UAC, top team in the FCS outside of, I believe it's South Dakota State and North Dakota State. I could be wrong about that, but I want to say it's those two schools that are the 1, 2, and then, of course, Tarleton being third. So, but again, we've got some familiar faces coming into town.
Yeah.
Victor Gabalis. Now, I will say, when he was here, it was Coach Peterson, and so this new coaching staff, they don't, they haven't really crossed paths. So maybe a few of the older players might have crossed paths with some of these guys. But of course, these are guys that Victor Gabalis, Bryce Parker, these are guys that played at Greater Zion Stadium multiple times. So this is going to feel like familiar territory to them, and it might not necessarily feel like it's a road game in some ways.
That's right. They played so many games there that they should be pretty familiar with the confines of Greater Zion Stadium. But still, I'm hoping that the Stampede's packed, the stands are packed, because this is a big-time opponent and a big-time team coming into St. George to play the Trailblazers, and I hope they get the support tonight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One final game before the bye week, and then homecoming the following week as well with SUU on the horizon. But of course, it's still one game at a time. Tarleton State coming up here this evening. Again, final thoughts as we're getting closer. We talked about keys to the game in the first segment, but just to recap that, I mentioned winning the turnover battle as one of those big keys. I think that's going to be really important. You mentioned time of possession. I think both of those keys are going to be really important factors here.
Yeah, I think both are going to play a big part of this game. If you're able to capitalize on either one of those, I think you'll have a shot in this game. So just got to play them tight and play with all you got. Leave it all on the field if you're the Blazers and see where you come out. I mean, I hope, fingers crossed, Caden, that we're talking about a Trailblazer win. Rod is post game.
Absolutely. That'd be phenomenal. Well, if you're listening on the radio, you and I will be back at it with the game call coming up here in just about a half hour from now. But in the meantime, sending it out to Rod Zundel out at Greater Zion Stadium. He's getting us ready for game day with some more pre-game coverage on Trailblazer Sports Vision. Thank you for listening in on the Fan Sports Network or watching on Trailblazer Sports Vision. Now out to Rod Zundel at Greater Zion Stadium from us, Caden and Paul. We'll check in with you on the radio in about half an hour.
Hey, win on me! 1, 2, 3!
How about that? Touchdown, Trailblazers! Touchdown, Trailblazers!
Welcome to Trailblazer Kickoff, presented by Camping World of St. George. Your next great outdoor adventure begins under the big American flag.
Let's go!
After 2 straight weeks on the road,
Touchdown, Trailblazers!
Utah Tech back home with the 3rd-ranked team in the country, Tarleton State. And a couple of familiar faces back in town for the first time in a different uniform.
It'll be a lot of fun.
We're 30 minutes from kick. Trailblazers and Texans.
And welcome inside Greater Zion Stadium here on the campus of Utah Tech University. We are 30 minutes from kick, Utah Tech and the Texans of Tarleton State. Hi there, everybody. Rod Zundel along with former Trailblazer defensive lineman Max Christensen. And Max, Utah Tech coming in with a record of 1-5, 0-2 in conference. And Tarleton State, they're coming in on a roll. They are the 3rd-ranked team in the country in the FCS standings. They're 6-0. So when you look at this on paper, doesn't seem to be much of a matchup. However,
This is the 5th-ranked team. This is the 5th team that the Trailblazers they're ranked in the top 25 this season, right? In 3 of those games, the Trailblazers had the ball in the 4th quarter with a chance to tie or win. I know it looks bad on paper, Rod, okay? But paper doesn't play football games. And we expect the same thing to happen tonight in this version of a Texas 2-step that Utah Tech's going to perform.
last time the Texans were here, Trailblazers got the win. You were part of that, weren't you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you were. All right, so Utah Tech coming off a loss 23-17 at Central Arkansas last week. And, Max, when you look at the numbers, they're all in favor of Utah Tech. They had more yards than Central Arkansas. They held them to under 100 yards rushing. They won the turnover battle, and they won a time of possession battle. Reggie Graff got the start, but Bronson Barbin came in and played most of the game after missing the previous 2 games with an injury. He went 15 of 28, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Utah Tech wanted to get more aggressive on offense, to take more shots down the field, and they got that last week.
Yeah, you look right here. You got Barbin to Eric Olson down the field. Eric Olson had a career day against Central Arkansas, having 107 yards on 5 catches. You're going to see Barbin to Josh Rillos right down the middle of the field for another touchdown. Barbin looked pretty good coming back from injury, trying to lift the Trailblazers down there. Also, you have Asa Chapman, who rushed for 69 yards, averaged 4.6 yards a carry, as the Trailblazers did a fairly good job of blocking up front. And on defense, the Trailblazers had 3 sacks, adding 3 more to their great season total, along with UCLA transfer R.J. Jones having his first sack as a Trailblazer. They were also able to record 2 interceptions on the day as well. This one happened in the final 2 minutes of the game and gave the Trailblazers a chance to win it on their final drive, but they just couldn't finish it, and that's kind of been the story for this season.
In the last 2 games, third down conversions have been a problem for Utah Tech. Over the last 2 weeks, 8 for 28 in third down conversions, and that just doesn't give you enough time on the field and enough snaps to get into rhythm and get more points on the board.
Yeah, it doesn't do a lot for you, right? You got to be able to convert third downs, extend drives, at least get some field goals, get some points. Again, they're playing a lot of one-score games.
Yeah.
So every point across the board in all these games has mattered.
Greg Stevens, the offensive coordinator, told me, he said, third down percentage, that is the most crucial stat of any stat in football. If you don't win that stat, you're not going to win ball games. In the last 2 weeks, that has been a glaring red mark for Utah Tech. Now, let's talk about Tarleton State. They're number 3 in the country. They're 6-0. They have a potent offense, 49 points per game max. That's 4th best in the country. Their average margin of victory, 30 points per game. They even have a win at Army in overtime earlier this season. They're coming off a win last week, 52-42 over that team, just 50 miles to the north of us. And Max, they did it with a backup quarterback too.
Yeah, they're able to do it with Daniel Greek. He had 282 yards and 3 touchdowns as a starter. Victor Gabales missed last week with a lower body injury. We'll get to more of him in a second. They were also able to rush for 299 yards against SUU a week ago. Trey Page had 198 of those. If Utah Tech can't get these guys in the open space, they're going to have a hard time because they're speed demons. They're currently averaging 266 yards per game on the ground, which is 9th best in the nation. You also look at the defense, right? The Texans have the number 1 defense in the country when it comes to scoring. They have 3 pick sixes and 1 fumble recovery for a touchdown as well.
Southern Utah, though, they put up nearly 300 yards rushing on those guys.
Yes.
So they are susceptible to a big running attack. Of course, sorry, I said Southern Utah. That team 50 miles to the north of us, they have one of the best running backs in the country too. So
as they do.
Trailblazers have an opportunity there. So Victor Gabales, he is the starting quarterback for the Tarleton State Texans. He missed last week with a lower body injury. He's out warming up right now. He wanted to give a go of it. Don't think he's going to be able to go unless he's needed in the biggest way for the Texans, so they're going to try to keep him out. Of course, Gabales, you know him well. We all know him well. He is a great dude. He played here at Utah Tech 3 seasons ago in 2022, and after transferring from Washington State, he got his first start for Utah Tech against Sacramento State. In his first 9 passing attempts, he had 3 interceptions, Max. You're going, oh, my goodness. But he did come on in the second half of the season. The last 4 games of the 2022 season here at Utah Tech, Gabales threw for 363 yards per game, and that included a nearly 400-yard game at BYU, and that's what got the attention of Tarleton State. So he's coming back for the first time since 2022, and he's pretty pumped about coming back in a place that he likes to call home.
The last time Victor Gabales played in Greater Zion Stadium, he was in a Trailblazer uniform on November 12, 2022, ironically enough, against Tarleton State. He led the Trailblazers to a 34-28 win over the Texans, throwing for 272 yards and 2 touchdowns. And now he's doing the same thing at Tarleton State. In 5 games, he's thrown for 12 touchdowns and no interceptions. And he's looking forward to his return tonight.
It'll be a lot of fun because I love St. George. And what it brought out of me and the person it made me become, it'll always be hold a dear place in my heart with my history. And I just can't wait to be back and remember all the memories that I had there.
All right, both teams have gone in the locker room, but Victor was out warming up, and the word we're getting is he's not going to be able to go, and that's too bad because we wanted to see him back here playing on the turf that he played with back in 2022. But he's a good dude. He was your teammate 3 years ago.
Yeah, great guy, really good leader. You see everything he's able to do at Tarleton State.
Yeah.
He was able to do that the back half of his tenure here with us. Yeah, the name Victor Cabal is a little deja vu for me because I was able to see his whole journey here.
Yeah.
Again, started rough, as you mentioned, at Sac State, but finished fantastic those last 4 games of the year and then has done what he's done down there in Texas.
He had an over 300-yard game in that upset win at number 19, Stephen F. Austin, where Justin Kirkland, who now is a starting nose guard at BYU, knocked down the pass that would have won it for Stephen F. Austin. All right, another former Trailblazer making his return for the first time tonight is wide receiver Bryce Parker. Spent 2 seasons here in St. George before moving on after last season to Tarleton State.
Bryce Parker had 1 touchdown reception in his 2 seasons at Utah Tech. It came last year from Reggie Graff at UC Davis. After transferring at the end of last season, Bryce has found a home at Tarleton State. 2 touchdowns receptions this season.
Just being back at home, being back seeing my family. You know, it's a 5-hour drive from the crib, and just being able to see my friends and old teammates and just being able to go out there and compete. Can't wait to just line up against them and, you know, show them what I'm about.
So Bryce is going to have a lot of family members here, and he's fitting right in. They've got some talented receivers, big and strong and fast, and he's got himself in the rotation. 118 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the numbers they're putting up on offense, especially the deep ball threats, the passing yards. They have a lot of different options, and Bryce has been a big part of that.
All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we will take a look back at last week. Tough loss at Central Arkansas, and we'll head to the film room. Got some pretty interesting stuff to take a look at. That's when Trailblazer Kickoff comes back.
If you haven't seen Utah Tech University lately, chances are you haven't seen it at all. With hands-on polytechnic learning across 300 academic programs, 30 new and renovated state-of-the-art facilities, the most affordable university tuition in the state, and 300 days of sunshine. Why look anywhere else? Discover why Utah Tech was recently named one of Education Magazine's 10 prominent universities and colleges to watch. Join us and experience the active learning, active life difference at Utah Tech.
All right, back here in Greater Zion Stadium, counting down the moments until kickoff. Utah Tech hosting the 3rd-ranked team in the country, the Texans of Tarleton State. Rod Zundel and Max Christensen here. Time now to hit the film room. Head coach Lance Anderson takes us into the film room to show us what they did well last week in Conway, Arkansas.
Okay, I'm going to start with one of our defensive snaps against Central Arkansas. Central Arkansas's offense ran a lot of RPO-type plays where the offensive line is going to block the run, and then the quarterback has the option of either handing it off in the run game or just throwing the football. On this particular play, again, you'll see the offensive line block like it's run, but the quarterback sees that he's got a one-on-one matchup out here with the corner, and he decides to throw the ball out here to his receiver. First thing you'll look for, just really good coverage here by our corner, River Moore. Now, if the quarterback had decided to go to the field, they're running a couple hitch routes out here, and we also have, very good coverage out here with our corner and our nickel, Devin Perkins. So there's really not a place for the quarterback to go with the ball. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Just looking at the throw, quarterback looks to the boundary, looks to the single receiver, and like I mentioned here, really good coverage by River Moore. Nowhere for him to go with the football. That allows the rush to get home, and we're able to get a sack here. Now, as we look at the pressure here, on this particular play, we're blitzing one of our inside linebackers, Dalen Love. And with them blocking the run and pulling this guard, Dalen's able to run through that gap that's vacated by the pulling guard and is able to finish with the sack on the quarterback. So we'll watch it first again here from the sideline copy. You look at our linebacker, Dalen Love, getting ready to blitz. You see their guard pull. He blitzes right through that vacated gap. And when there's nowhere for the quarterback to go with the ball, he ends up with the sack. If we look at it here from the end zone, where when this guard pulls, that creates an open gap, and Dalen runs right through and makes the sack. Again, we had very good coverage on the outside. Blitzer comes free, and we finish with the sack. Big play in the Central Arkansas game. All right, I want to go to one of our offensive plays here against Central Arkansas. And one of the things we knew about Central Arkansas's defense is they ran a lot of quarters type coverage, meaning they kind of divide the field into quarters. So this corner has a quarter, this safety has a quarter, this safety has a quarter, this corner has a quarter. And as they did that, most of the time, as you can see here, they would press with their corners, really trying to take away the outside receivers. So with that too high look from the safeties, we knew there might be some opportunities for us to make plays here in the middle of the field. And on this particular play, we're able to target our tight end, Eric Olson, right here down the middle of the field for a big gain near the end of the first half. So as we watch the play develop here, you'll see again they've got those two high safeties, and that creates this void right here in the middle of the field. And on this particular play, we're able to take advantage of that, get the ball in Eric Olson's hands. He's able to use his speed to get a big gain here right before the end of the first half. So we'll take a look at it from the end zone, because I think you have a great view here of how that middle of the field opens up. You can see Eric come right down the seam, and you'll see the opening between the two safeties, the void in the defense. Able to get the ball to him. He's able to split those two safeties and run right down the middle of the field for a big gain to set up a field goal right before the end of the first half.
All right, Max, Coach talked about that cover two defense for Central Arkansas that the Trailblazers was able to exploit and get some big chunk plays in the passing game down the middle. But today against Tarleton State, they'll see a much different defense against the Texans, won't they?
Yeah, like we saw in the film session, Central Arkansas played two deep safeties, which covered each half of the field. Right, you see how the middle's so open right there, and they were able to get some big plays right down the middle of the field, as Coach showed. Tarleton, different story. They mostly play a cover one, meaning there's one safety deep in the middle of the field that roams the entire field. So that tends to take away the middle part of the field for the Trailblazers, so they won't have that like they did last week. You see against SUU, they try to get that in there down the seam before the safety comes over, but they're not able to convert. That's a play the Utah Tech is going to have to capitalize on. They're also going to have to pick and choose their spots outside of the hashes as well, as you see on this play. If you push it towards the sideline, that safety has to cover a lot of ground in order to get over and cover.
Southern Utah had over 200 yards rushing against the Texans, and a lot of that is they have a great running back, but it was because of the defense that Tarleton plays. If you can get past that line of scrimmage, you only got one-on-one against that safety, and I'll take a good running back against a free safety any day.
And that's what you stick a guy running back for, to break open field tackles. If a running back should never be tackled by a safety, according to any offensive coach that you talk to, right?
And the Trailblazers need to have some big chunks in the running game. They have to win the time of possession battle. They have to do well on third downs to keep this Tarleton offense off the field, and running game could be even bigger than a passing game.
Yes, it has to be, right? They have to be able to, like you said, chew up clock, convert third downs, and win time of possession. This is a big play offense. An offense that can take shots, put up tons of points, averaging 49 points, margin of victory by 30. If the Trailblazers are able to shrink the game and shrink the field, control the run game, and kind of bully them up front, they'll have a really good shot at this football game.
If the Trailblazers do not convert on third down upwards of 45%, they're going to be 3 and out, and they're going to be in a world of hurt with
100%.
this offense for Tarleton State. All right, linebacker Logan Peely transferred from Utah State after last season. He played 23 games and had 2 starts for the Aggies over the last 2 years. Now he's making an impact here at Utah Tech. Time to get to know junior Logan Peely just a little bit better in this edition of Trailblazer Tales.
My name's Logan Peely. I'm a junior right now, linebacker, and I just transferred from Utah State, just first year up here at Utah Tech. Transferring from Utah State, it was just a new opportunity for me. They decided to clean house up there, up north, so just wanted to find somewhere new, somewhere where my abilities can be best showcased, and I thought Utah Tech was the best place for me, and I enjoyed the coaching staff here, and I've been loving it ever since, honestly. I come from a pretty big family. I got 2 brothers, 2 sisters, and wonderful parents that raised me well. I'm also married. I got a beautiful wife. Her name is Olfa. We've been married for about 2 years now, so things are looking good. In little leagues, growing up in Vegas, my dad was always my coach, so I remember coming home after a bad practice. He'd always have me and my older brother, who's like three years older than me. We'd come back and do hitting drills in the backyard. So I remember how tense those were and how chaotic those were with tackling my brother and keep doing it again and again, and my dad's yelling at me. So it was good memories, but it was a good time just being with my dad and my brothers and being able to learn from them. But also just a little funny story of them just always yelling at me. So been growing my hair probably since, it was honestly during my mission. I kind of planned it out. I was like, yep, I'm gonna start growing out my hair. And then ever since that was like 2022, around there. And just haven't cut it since. I kind of want to keep my hair long until I get old, because you know you're not gonna have long hair forever, so might as well start repping it out.
Do you get people saying that you look like certain people?
Do get that a lot. Troy Polamalu, Jason Momoa, you know, the typical Polynesians with long hair, so definitely get that with having long hair.
Those are not too shabby of guys to be compared with, right?
Not at all, my man. Not
it does
at all.
look like Troy Polamalu, and that's one of his favorite players of all time.
Yes. I mean, again, let's give this guy some head and shoulders. All right, in this NIL world, where are they?
We need to give him an NIL deal.
Yes.
Now, he before he went to Utah State, he actually enrolled at BYU, and he said he had to kind of time it out because the honor code wouldn't let him grow the long hair and his mission, so he had to kind of wait for his turn, and that's why he's got he's going to let it grow out the whole time. But definitely a resemblance to Troy Polamalu, that's for sure.
Yes.
All right, so who do people say you look like?
Some people tell me Wayne Brady. Okay,
I can see that.
Whose line is it anyway?
Yeah,
right.
and also, whose line is it anyway? Isn't he like, let's make a deal too?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Not
Wayne
100%
Brady.
sure.
Yeah, I can see that. You got the little gruff going there and the chrome dome. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I got it. And you're about as funny as him.
Something like that.
Might be funnier.
Maybe, yes. Well, and you know, the amount of times you've sat next to me and the repeat things that we do, I feel a little bit like it's Groundhog's Day.
Oh,
okay? Is there, you look like you got a little Bill Murray in your face. Come on now.
You know what? You're not the first person that says that. When I've had shorter hair, when I was younger, I looked like Bill Murray. I think it was more because of the way I acted sometimes.
Okay.
But yeah, that's not the first time
there you go.
I've heard about it.
Yes, sir.
All right, so there you go. Lookalikes, doppelgangers.
Uh-huh.
All right, we're going to take another break. Hey, we're getting closer to kickoff. Utah Tech and Tarleton State here at Greater Zion Stadium. Trailblazer kickoff. We'll come back with a final word from the coach. Coming up next.
If you haven't seen Utah Tech University lately, chances are you haven't seen it at all. With hands-on polytechnic learning across 300 academic programs, 30 new and renovated state-of-the-art facilities, the most affordable university tuition in the state, and 300 days of sunshine. Why look anywhere else? Discover why Utah Tech was recently named one of Education Magazine's 10 prominent universities and colleges to watch. Join us and experience the active learning, active life difference at Utah Tech.
And welcome back. We're under 10 minutes until kickoff. Trailblazer trying to get their first United Athletic Conference win, taking on the undefeated and the third-ranked Tarleton State Texans. You can hear this game over on the Fan Sports Radio Network with Caden Formaster and Paul Ratliff on the call back here in the booth, high above the stadium. It is Bill Murray along with Wayne Brady. Glad to have you with us on Trailblazer Kickoff. Trailblazers, again, we talked about it at the beginning here, keys to the game for Utah Tech, because this is the best team that they will face all season long.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to have to convert on third downs. We've talked about it almost ad nauseum, right? As you mentioned, a great stat, 8 for 28 in your last 2 ball games, and the last 2 games have been losses. That's not a recipe for success. As you said, offensive coordinator for Utah Tech said that's the most important stat, whether you're on offense or defense. That's the key to the game.
All right, let's take a look back last week at Central Arkansas in this edition of Sounds of the Game. We are in Conway, Arkansas. First ever trip for the Trailblazers in the state of Arkansas. Both teams trying to get their first conference win of the season. We are underway in Conway, Arkansas. Intercepted by Jeremiah Jamo at the 10-yard line, and he takes it out to the 11. Throw it back to Olsen. Got him open at the 20, the 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Trailblazers! Bronson Barbin to Eric Olsen, 39 yards. Utah Tech takes the lead. Across the middle, caught Eric Olsen right in the middle of the field. At midfield to the 40, to the 30-yard line. What a big pass play. Bronson Barbin to Eric Olsen right down the middle of the field. Right down the middle, Barbin, Josh Rillo, touchdown! Trailblazers, oh my goodness. Josh Rillo came wide open. Bronson Barbin found him. And that is a touchdown. Utah Tech regains the lead. Down goes the quarterback, and it's Dalen Love. He gets in there, lickety-split, his 3rd sack of the year. Here comes the pressure again. He goes down again. Moon Ashby finishes him off after Dallin Havea forced him right into his arms. Intercepted at the 40-yard line. Brings it back to midfield. Devin Perkins with the interception. A hard-fought battle for Utah Tech. They come up 6 points short and now head back home to St. George Saturday for the 3rd-ranked team in the country, Tarleton State. And this is where we sit right now, just a few minutes away from kickoff. Time now to get the final word from head coach Lance Anderson as he gets ready for the 3rd-ranked team in the country.
Coach, this is your 5th top-ranked team that you've played this year, but this is different than the rest.
Yeah, they're a really good team. I mean, they probably are the best team we've played so far. We've played a lot of really good football teams, but Tarleton State is very talented. This will be a stiff test for us on Saturday.
When you look at the numbers last week, they were all on the positive side, and still you weren't able to finish it off.
Exactly. Well, you'd look at those numbers, you think that's a game that we should win, and again, we had every opportunity, but just didn't finish. So, again, we've got to learn to get those critical stops when we need them, and then offensively be able to finish drives, convert those into points when we really need them.
3rd down conversion been an emphasis this week?
Oh, for sure, because we need to be better offensively with that. And defensively, that was one of the things last week that we weren't great with, was getting off the field on some of those 3rd downs.
So what will you want to see out of your guys against a top 3 team in the country?
We're going to need to play our best, and so we're going to need to go out and execute. We've got to be able to play great with great effort, but we can't try to do too much. We need to play our game and go out there, be disciplined, play as hard as we can, and that's what we're looking for.
You've said in the last couple of weeks, guys may be trying to do too much. I know you don't want them to do it that way, but you'd rather have them try to do too much than not enough, right?
We want guys who care, guys who want to win, guys who want to give great effort. But part of the game of football, where you're playing with 10 other guys, you've got to do your 1/11th. I mean, it's the greatest team game there is, and that's why you can't do too much. You just got to do your job, and we're still learning that.
In one word, can you say what you need to do tonight?
execute and just play our game.
Couple of injury updates for Utah Tech Trailblazer to be without a couple of defensive backs. Jeremiah Jamo had a interception last week, is out. Ryan Tuaolo is out for the second straight game, so freshman River Moore will get the start. Expect to see UCLA transfer R.J. Jones play all over the defensive backfield, including the rover-type linebacker. And this is big news here. Just got word from Tarleton State that Trey Page, top 5 running back in the country, 115 yards per game, had nearly 200 yards last week, upper leg injury, and the backup running back, Caleb Lewis, they're both out. So they're out.
Wow.
They're going to be down 2 of their main running backs.
And a starting quarterback.
So we'll see how it goes. Trailblazers and Texans about ready to kick off. You can hear the game on the Fan Sports Radio Network. Caden Formaster, Paul Ratliff have the call. Max and I will have it on ESPN+. Kickoff, Texans Trailblazers coming up next.